What's up, guys? Daznor here. And today's video, I kinda wanted to talk about a very hard to pin down subject for me. And it's really just about what it means to me to believe I'm in a simulation and how that came about in me as almost like a religion that I can't escape. And the idea of the metaverse and these crypto tokens that are being implemented into video games that whose ultimate goal is to build an augmented and or virtual reality for people to be able to escape into got me, riled up and really thinking about the subject maybe a little bit more than usual. But here it goes, I guess. So ever since I'm in my mid-30s, and ever since I was about, I think it was 19, my first LSD experience happened to be the catalyst in my belief that I was actually not in a physical reality anymore, but it was just I have no idea what it was. I didn't know the word simulation back then. I knew what a Matrix was because I had seen the Matrix movies. And I'm not really going to go into the details of my first LSD experience. I'm just trying to say what exactly was a catalyst for me being able to see beyond the normal constraints of our reality and to piece certain puzzle pieces together, at least in my perspective, in my view, for me, right? I don't know what this universe is for anyone else, right? For me, I, at that point, was transported into a black hole of sorts, and or realized that's where I was or had been the whole time. And you don't get out of that. That's your singularity. That's where I'm at. But I don't know how other people perceive reality, their viewpoint, their any of that, right? Like, I don't claim to know someone's preferred path in life. I don't do that. I don't try and convert people or do anything like that. I just let people know that what I have seen, which I will get into in many other videos in the future because I obsess over it, but what I have seen has, for me, in my perspective, proven that I personally am in a simulation. I don't know about you guys, you guys could be having a whatever life, or you could be part of this simulation for all I know. It doesn't matter to me. I still see everyone as a whole entity within my reality. It's also another subject I'll get into. But ever since I was 19 years old, I've had the inescapable feeling that I was in a matrix or a simulation or a kind of like a zoo. And I went through many bouts of depression dealing with it too. Like, my first LSD experience gave me PTSD from, that might make some people feel offended who actually got diagnosed for that, for serious things. I never got diagnosed, but all the symptoms of it, I still have a lot of lingering issues that I've had to heal through things like meditation, daily life practice, and MDMA, and just things that help me get over my situation and be okay with where I'm at, right? But in the beginning, it was a terrible, terrible realization that I tried to wake up from. Have you guys ever tried to wake up from a dream or from a nightmare, and you get to wake up, right? You get to wake up and you're like, whew, thank goodness. Have you guys ever tried to do that in reality? Like, something went so terribly wrong, and you're just trying to shake yourself up, like, no, this, wake up, and it just doesn't. That's kind of how the thought hit me. Like, there was no other way to think about reality at that point anymore, except for some sort of matrix simulation. What I had been shown, what I had seen through what people just call hallucinations, what I had experienced made it impossible to ever go back to a simplistic view of reality. And from that point on, it just got more and more complicated. And yeah, so from that point on, I went to college. You know, and I didn't really relate to a lot of people because, like, I was still trying to put together what it all meant, and I didn't understand what the psychedelic experience was. I still don't understand what that crap is, right? I don't know, but like, it was helping me see that you know, under the veil or over the veil, beyond the veil. And it took a long time to interpret what I was seeing and be able to be comfortable with that. Like, I had to just commit to life, and it's hard to explain at all what telltale signs give away that you're living inside a simulation beyond things that you can kind of see on YouTube. Like, what perspective a player, right, might see that he's that shakes him or her or it out of its fantasy, and it's like, oh shit, that's not like on spot. And like whatever system you're kind of in, like, corresponds to your reactions, like, very quickly. And tries to counter balance your view of reality, perception, all at once, and to kind of like nullify that sense of rejection. It's usually very minute, because whatever algorithm is running this thing is really fucking good. Like, this goes back to the metaverse. Like, what we are just now in 2021 getting ready to do, building video games that are gonna allow people to play augmented realities, right, and just hide away in that. That's just this year, right? This idea goes on and on and on and on and on and on. This idea will continue on, and that game will only get better to the point where you could probably imitate all of this, right? So when your consciousness can like put all those pieces together and keep projecting into the future, you can kind of see a pathway of where things kind of lead. And the more and more I was like putting puzzle pieces together, the environmental degradation, our capitalist communist war that we have going on here, the apathy we have as humans. It's like, oh wow, no, yeah, it makes sense that like we are likely to turtle down on ourselves in an alternate reality rather than try and be a more sustainable and universal faring species, ultimately, because it's pretty much fantasy to like travel in the stars because of all the cosmic radiation and whatnot and our limited technology. So like it makes a lot more sense that we end up supernovaing into a singularity of sorts, especially as you see the growth that's happening in the most powerful societies right now, and the momentum that's just behind it. That's kind of what happens to the biggest stars that we have. They just accumulate so much fuel that they get to burn really hard and make all sorts of little innovative little things, and just eventually, you know, that shit turns into a singularity upon its culmination. And that's kind of like what the human species is doing, or in a process of. There will be different paths for what remains after. Like when a star supernovas, not everything is turned into the black hole. You know, there's a whole bunch of star matter that just flies off into the universe, and it made us. Like, one of those made us. Like, think about the amount of iron that is just in the middle of our planet, right? That condensed like first in our solar system. And iron only comes from the big boys. Like, nothing else in this universe makes iron except for the supernova bitches. And gold, and a whole bunch of other shit on this planet. We are literally what was left over from a supernova that didn't turn into a black hole. So, I think I got off on a little bit of a tangent there. How is that in relation to the simulation? I don't really know where I was going with that, and you'll have to forgive me. I might have to pause the camera and take a take at this. Right. So our civilization is kind of like a supernova. Right, that's how I got onto that. And we totally are. There are people really striving and fighting to do the sustainable way and try and get out this message. That like there's gonna be other ways that we can go about doing this. But what's becoming more and more common, and I knew even as a young teenager, it's like, oh no, we're gonna have to have like a plan B, because people are just gonna wreck this. People are wrecking this, and we're not gonna have another home. There won't be another home, because we're not getting off this planet anytime soon. So what are you gonna have to do if you're not gonna actually be a spacefaring species and do this like Gundam shenanigans where you have space colonies and O'Neill cylinders in space? Like, and that doesn't seem realistic either, because of all the science fiction material people have drummed up on that as well. There's so many possibilities that could go wrong, and class wars that could happen between spacefaring living humans and earth living ones, and that's just going to make a species divide too as the species evolve. It's possible. I don't see it likely. The way our social media, our governments, our corporations try and control the narrative, and the narrative is what will be important in any metaverse or simulation. It won't be so much, unless, you know, it won't be so much a free fantasy, right? It'll be a fantasy that is owned by a certain corporation or a certain government, you know? And that's where a majority of the people will live in the future, in these like fantasy hellhole escapes, because we couldn't convince ourselves to give two shits about our surroundings instead of about pocketbooks or one another, right? It's just what it boils down to. Going to be further isolated by the dark energy until you are alone in a simulation. Now, you might be thinking it'll be an MMO and you'll be able to play with other simulatees, right? But that's wishful thinking. It's much more easier to control a player and convince them of the smoothness of the reality if they are alone, I believe. And it might sound depressing, but I've never really truly felt I've encountered anyone that passed my Turing test. And it's, you know, it's sad in a way. But it's not, because like I said, I see everyone, you know. I forget what that Hawaiian word is, but like, I respect everything and everyone if I can, and that's not limited to things that might not be me, right? So, and if that's how I make sense of my base reality, like, I really try not to be prejudiced. And I don't think I could say that when I first woke up. Like, it was so shell-shocking. I was so repulsed. I just wanted to commit suicide. I literally was flipping out on my trip and trying to kill myself and like hold my breath until I died. And my friends were like, no. And I'll get into it in another video, but they were definitely trying to keep me alive. So I thank them, but they did not in any way convince me otherwise. Yeah. So I've gone on to cope with it, right? And after years, I just came to realize, holy fucking shit, and I just love life. Like, I'm super thankful to just be alive, and I've come back to more of like a being able to be in this like duality, this baseline reality of just, this is Earth. This is Earth to me. This is home to me, right? But in that same respect, if I'm out meditating deep enough or in deep enough thought, or you give me some sacrament, I'll just say that, and I can see the splittings of reality, it's just not, you know. And that's scary as shit when that happens, because you are a pebble and there is an obvious superstructure surrounding you that like essentially maintains that reality. And in these states of realizing that, you can also see that superstructure, that whatever entity, God, I don't fucking know, that master of fundamental forces, like, can like literally manipulate reality around me. And pretty much without a doubt in my mind, like, just like get rid of doubt. It's like, oh no, yeah, this is not Earth. Right. So and not in a terrible, non-benevolent way, but like in a benevolent, you're okay kind of way. You're like, this is so not Earth, like, you so don't have to worry about it, like, kind of way, like in a goofy, like comical, ironic, like, I got you kind of way, like I put you at ease kind of way. It's you know, I guess it's why some people like go to church, right? They strive for that, and like, I have never had to, because it's just like forced upon me. But yeah, it's still really hard, because I know reality itself could be going so much differently, and we could be doing this so much more sustainably. We don't have to end up isolated, alone, in a Facebook terrorscape of some sort, right? Like, we could care for the planet instead. We could care for each other instead. We could continue to evolve as organic beings instead. But the greed inside of us is corrupting us as a human species, and it's taking over, and we are running out of time, because it's like it becomes more and more and more seductive as generation and generation lose further interest in Earth. So yeah, this is a long video, right? This is just a taste of like how I literally interpret my everyday reality, and it gets a bit much. And it's the main reason why I'm like a cannabis user, because I've tried, you know, going sober without cannabis, and what happens is I get hallucinogenic dreams that are just prophetic beyond imagine, and it's too intense. It's too intense, guys. So I generally try and keep myself kind of like chilled out, because I can't just be like spoofing off on like crazy dreams that I can't understand or interpret. And like, I used to write them down because it was just like some crazy fucking shit, man. And if I want to like stay sane and not like do some crazy martyr shit and listen to the crazy voices, I really have to like chill myself out, or the ego kind of takes over and like latches on to these ideas of grandeur. And I can't do this without everyone. Like, we all have to like team up in some sort of like crazy way to be like a sustainable force that wants to have a different system in place, and understand that the regimes that are in place right now, like whether it's the United States right left dogma, or like the CCP entirely, or like the false democracy in Russia, like these false superpowers all over the world, and all the shitter nations too. No offense, guys. I mean, we're all shitter nations, to be real. So, but yeah, we need serious change, because most of humanity is in chains unless you have wealth beyond compare, and that frees you from that. And that's not what should greed. Ultimate greed should not be rewarded that way, right? That's not morality. Anyways, I will have to edit this video and see all the ramblings I did today and see how I can expand on them. Maybe you guys found this interesting. Definitely gonna have more videos about this. Definitely gonna do trip reports for you guys, because yeah, as you can tell, my experiences get quite elaborate and intense. And when I tell people about my experiences, I get a lot of jaw dropping, and I wish I got that, or that's what I'm trying to go for. And it's just like, I get explosive results with like minimal input. And yeah, so maybe you listening to me can help you make decisions later in your life as the metaverse and simulations start to become more and more a reality, and maybe you can realize that that might not be the way to go unless we have to. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Again, I hope you liked it. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and I will check you guys in the next one, or whatever, blah 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 blah. Look at this beautiful day, catching some sunshine. Thank you guys, take care.